Welcome, Jonah. We really appreciate your leadership and taking the time to be here. We appreciate that. At Setsi, we like to begin all of those things by acknowledging the original stewards of the various lands that we're on, as well as our ancestors and those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We want to acknowledge all of our elders and community stewards whose shoulders that we continue to stand on as we build, share, and learn together for our collective liberation and sovereignty. So once again, thank you so much for being here, Jonah. Please go ahead and introduce yourself to our viewers and listeners.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, Blessed. Super interested in sharing kind of like my experiences and insights. So my name is Jonah Chininga, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Woveo. Woveo is a community wallet that helps newcomers build credit through community savings. So really passionate about how we can be able to enable access to credit and financial services, mainly in underserved communities here in Canada. As part of my lived experiences. So yeah, that's a bit about me and do.
Can you tell us a bit about the origin of your organization? Like, how are you disrupting the ecosystem in Canada with your work?
Yeah, so for us, we're solving a problem which was lived experiences for myself and my co-founders. So we immigrated to Canada. For me, it was 2014. And really, it takes 3 to 5 years to be able to integrate into our credit system, and really you're credit invisible because your financial history is not transferable from country to Canada. So we really wanted to adopt something that was more decentralized and accessible to people who needed the services. And we ended up adopting a century-old model of rotating savings or community savings, known by different names in different cultures. So some people know them as susu, some people know them as tandas in Mexico. Yeah, it's a global mechanism that is actually practiced by over 1 billion people. And then for us, it was how do we use technology to simplify the settlement journey and access journey of new immigrants coming to the country. Yeah, so that's kind of like how the origin of the idea started. Also, some lessons learned during that process was how newcomers were using the system informally to be able to bridge those financing gaps. So for us now, by creating technology and partnering with credit bureaus in Canada, it was how can we help people facilitate this model more conveniently, but more importantly, build credit history and a financial track record through that process. So that's what we have done. We have decentralized the whole system and leveraged technology to simplify the financial settlement journey and then enable faster access to credit to be able to improve people's lives.
That's amazing. So how important, obviously, the impact investing and philanthropic work is what you're doing. Can you break it down exactly how it works from the consumer side? What does that look like?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, from a consumer side, so mainly for us, it's partnering with communities, so communities of interest. And then these communities of interest can be able to create, so through our platform, communities of interest can be able to create, I like to call it like virtual or digital credit unions through that process. And then once you have a community onboarded, you can be able to create rotating savings group on the platform, whereby you have a goal-oriented savings groups, and then members can take turns to access the lump sum. So it's more people utilizing their own savings as a community to work for them. That's kind of like our goal. These are no interest fee loans that people are facilitating through that process. So people can be able to join the community, be part of that platform, create savings groups that they can be able to use to achieve their goals. And then in that process, they're able to build their credit history through our partnership with Equifax to enable them to gain access to the formal financial system and then access credit through our partnership with credit unions. So for us, was how do we create an on-ramp to provide access to affordable credit for users who are for newcomers who are coming to Canada and really are limited in terms of their financing opportunities, really looking to reduce the cost and barriers that currently exist within our financial ecosystem for many credit underserved communities.
That's remarkable. I feel like we're very used to the informal SUSU model, but I think that this has never been done before. So I really appreciate the innovation. Can you share with us what your mission and vision is for Woveo?
Yeah, our mission and vision as a company is to enhance financial security and build community wealth. So those are the two pillars that we look at. Enhancing financial security is how do we provide and facilitate that credit access that people need, whether it's for emergency funding, whether it's for being able to have that pillar, that backbone that people need to be able to reach their financial goals, especially for new immigrants who are limited in options, who are exposed to payday lenders in terms of like alternatives that they can be able to use. We really want to reimagine that process and give something that is more sustainable to the consumers. And then the second piece is building that community wealth. We always talk about how do we enable communities to be able to build their wealth, especially in Canada right now, whereby our demographics are changing. We're having kind of like a lot of immigration, a lot of new communities being established. We're having diverse and vibrant communities being created in communities. So how do we give them that pillar, that backbone of building community wealth in a way that builds capacity within communities to be able to reach their financial goals?
Thank you for that. So what inspires you most about your current model at Woveo?
Yeah, for me, I'm inspired a lot by decentralized models. Decentralized from the sense that it's access, right? It's the impact of enabling access to people who don't have that access. It's a lived experience for me. So really trying to solve so that the next person who's coming to Canada doesn't face the same barriers that I had to go through. Because yeah, it's the story of the immigrant journey that I'm really passionate about. We have a lot of people who are overqualified, highly skilled, hardworking, but then the environment is not enabling them to create thriving lives. So how can we simplify that journey to be able to make an impact in terms of their settlement, in terms of really connecting dreams to reality? Because a lot of people come here for a better life. They invest their time, the opportunity cost of living in your home country, coming here to be able to achieve that dream. How can we be part of that journey to enable you to be able to realize that dream that you've come from, that through hard work, we can be able to provide you access that you can be able to realize that part of that mission. So that's our inspiration as a team, as a company, to be able to inspire and provide that on-ramp to financial assistance for newcomers and credit underserved communities.
Thank you. So what challenges or barriers do you face at Woveo now? So we talked a little bit about where you started. So what kind of issues are you dealing with your team, and how are you overcoming them?
Yeah, you're breaking in and out. I'm not sure if it's my
No problem.
network or...
It definitely could be mine. I'll repeat the question. What challenges or barriers do you face with your work at Woveo now, and what is your team doing to overcome them?
Yeah, so in terms of challenges, obviously, I will bring a new innovation in the ecosystem. And then, yeah, the financial industry is highly regulated. So being able to create that innovation and create capacity within the team has been one challenging aspect of building something new. I think, yeah, it's a journey that you cannot build without going through that process. So yeah, it's a startup journey of building a new innovation with a high impact for us. And then how we are overcoming it is really building partnerships with people who can be able to enhance our members' experience. That's kind of like how we are approaching it. How can we partner with ecosystem partners that can simplify that journey, that are mission aligned with what the work that we're doing, to be able to get to the next stage. So really our vision as a company is to be able to build a new infrastructure for community banking in a way, by leveraging technology, that it can get to a point that it's as simple as starting a Slack channel to be able to start your own community bank. You can be able to utilize your community savings to be able to provide access to those members that need it. So it's the history of community banking, the impact that community banking has had for centuries, but really just leveraging technology to make it more accessible and cost efficient for the communities that we serve. So
when users are using the app, is this being reported to credit bureaus? How is it helping to build their credit?
Yeah, no, great question. So yeah, all the transactions are reported to the credit bureaus. Right now, we have partnered with Equifax, whereby we report the payment history of these groups. So really what interests me mostly about the product is a savings product that's helping you build credit history, and there are no interest fees involved. So really it's kind of like changing the way that people build credit without relying only on credit cards, right? If you can be able to utilize your own savings groups, you can be able to work with like-minded people in that journey and then provide sustainable financial products. And then through that process, people can be able to monitor their credit score through the app, and then they can also be able to see that reporting happening in terms of their credit reports. So mainly when you're making a contribution to the group, that's seen as an on-time payment, that impacts your payment history on your credit report, enabling you to be able to build a healthy credit score.
Absolutely, it most definitely does. Thank you. So what set of priorities are you guys working on right now? What's your focus?
Yeah, no, in terms of focus, right now it's mainly like onboarding communities that we're working with. So right now we have over 20 communities that we've partnered with that have thousands of members that we're serving on the product. So really it's enabling them to be able to continue to build their credit. But then from a product perspective, we're looking at how can we enable people to save, access credit, and spend within one community wallet. So if you think of a wallet, it's something that is personal to you, where you keep your money, you keep your spending cards and everything. So what does that look like from a community perspective, right? So a community wallet is just kind of like a shared wallet between the communities, people who have shared interests, shared goals, who are trying to be able to build a better future for themselves. So building tools that enable them to be able to do that in a much more secure and reliable way. So that's kind of like our main objective as a company. And then we are building products that enable people to do that in a very simple way.
I love that concept, the terminology community wallet. I think it's so fitting. It makes sense and it's
Yeah,
easy
thank
to
you.
comprehend. So how do you
Yeah.
feel about innovation around fintech in Canada in the future? How do you feel about fintech in general in Canada and the future? What does that look like?
Yeah, no, in terms of fintech in Canada, it's a one thing that I acknowledge is it's a hard industry to break into because we do have like an oligopoly industry, I would say, whereby we do have the big five banks. So sometimes it's very slow in terms of like change of user behavior, connecting into the ecosystem, navigating the regulations and the compliance requirements. But I think the opportunity is massive, and the opportunity is more about how can we reimagine some of the processes, companies that we have to be able to create a real impact into people's lives. For context, Canada is one of the high indebted countries among all the G7 countries. We hold too much debt. We're using most of our income to service debt, I think higher than any G7 country. And then also we're having a lot of immigration coming to the country. Last year, we brought in about over 1 million people, 1 million new immigrants, but it takes 3 to 5 years to be able to build credit history, to be able to access those financial security. And we have a lot of newcomers struggling to be able to build a foundation once they land into this country. So there are so many problems which present an opportunity to be able to see what alternative tools can we be able to use to build better financial habits, better access to financial settlement, better access into actually enabling people, because at the end of the day, credit is a means to an end. It's something that helps you achieve your goals, whether it's I'm looking to buy a home, I'm looking to start a business, I'm looking to be able to have that financial security whenever I have an emergency. How can we simplify that and reduce the cost? So for us, that's kind of like how we think about fintech as an enabler to that, to financial wellness.
Thank you. So what is your ultimate goal with Woveo? What does success look like for you and your colleagues?
Yeah, no, success to us is more of enabling communities. Really, it's unleashing the power of the community in solving the problems that we're facing as a society. To be honest, I think there are a lot of problems that we're facing right now that are unique to the times that we're living right now. So our our thesis as a company is how can we go to things that used to work that we're not partaking in anymore. So for us as a company, community banking really stood out, just from studying the history, the centuries that this model has been practiced over and over again. I always enjoy kind of like reading the stories of how credit unions in Canada started, how Desjardins in Montreal started by serving the French community, which was excluded from the financial system, how the farmers, the fishermen started their own credit unions because they were excluded from the banking system. So when I think of that is how do you build the infrastructure that make it more accessible to any community to be able to build capacity from a community banking perspective so that their savings, their assets can be able to work for them in a way that empowers their community to be able to realize their dreams. That's our goal. And then how far it can start as a Canadian product, but then expanding globally into other markets, really to be able to solve the credit invisibility and access problem that, yeah, has existed for quite a while now.
I mean, that's brilliant for you to see the opportunity and how much it mimics that of the development of the credit union. So really appreciate your leadership on that. I do have one question. Where does the name Woveo come from? Is there any significance behind the name?
Yeah, no, there is really tied into our mission and our product. So Woveo is inspired by a woven tapestry. So a woven tapestry in terms of like how interconnected it is. So yeah, for me, I'm originally from Zimbabwe, so I used to always see my mom kind of like using the woven to be able to, kind of create the knitting process. But then really it's kind of like how interconnected it is. And then as a community product, there was so much relevance because for us, it was kind of like how do you go to the human basics of being connected to each other, because there's more power that we can achieve by being a community, by being a group, than we can by being individuals. So it's kind of like that's mantra of Ubuntu from an African perspective. It's kind of like how can we leverage the power of community to be able to solve some of the most pressing problems that we're currently facing. So that's kind of like Woveo resonated with kind of like the mission that we're solving for.
I love that. Thank you for explaining. Do you have any closing thoughts or calls to action for our community?
Yeah, no, for closing remarks is I think it's about time. So we're just looking to connect with any community, as many communities as possible. I think it's just time that we create roundtables around the conversation of how do we build community capacity, community wealth, to be able to solve many problems that are currently going on within the ecosystem. So if you're interested in chatting with us to be able to learn more how we can be able to collaborate on different perspectives, my email is jonah@woveo.com. Really passionate about connecting and enabling communities to achieve their dreams and goals. So that would be my last remarks. And then, yeah, thanks for having me. Really appreciate the platform.
Absolutely. I mean, you've had a brilliant idea. I'm so glad to see that you're running with it. So we definitely wish you all the best with that. Yeah. And we will be sharing it amongst our community and our ecosystem here. So thank you.
No, thank you very much.
Yeah, so we appreciate your leadership and taking the time to be here once again. Thank you for that, Jonah. I do want to close the interview the way that we began, by acknowledging the original stewards of the various lands that we are on, as well as our ancestors and those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We'd like to acknowledge all of our elders and community stewards whose shoulders that we continue to stand on as we build for our collective liberation and sovereignty. So again, thank you for being here, and thank you to our viewers for tuning in. Bye now.